Welcome. Today we've been delighted to host Aaron Beam as part of our Ethics at Noon program here at the Markkula Center for Applied Ethics at Santa Clara University. Aaron, thank you for being with us today.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Aaron was the CFO at HealthSouth, a company that experienced one of those unfortunate corporate scandals and was probably the first, I think, to go to trial in its case following the implementation of the Sarbanes-Oxley law. And so today we're going to hear a little bit from Aaron about his story and lessons that he's learned. So why don't you just start by telling us what happened?
Well, I was really lucky in that I helped form a company that had perfect timing. We were a healthcare company that was competing against hospitals by doing things outside of the hospital to lower healthcare costs. We went public after being in business only 2 years, and within 3 years of forming the company, I was a millionaire several times over. The problem was, though, I just wasn't aware of the pressures of Wall Street. I got caught up in the fun of being rich and buying cars and homes and taking great vacations. And when it came time that we weren't making our numbers, I had conditioned myself, not realizing it, to actually participate in a huge corporate fraud.
And when you look back, why do you think that you chose to cook the books?
You know, a lot of it, in most frauds start because of some kind of pressure. Most people want to get up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, I'm a good person. But there are all kind of pressures that can make you stray from being a good person. And with a public company, I was the CFO of a New York Stock Exchange Fortune 500 company. And the pressure to deliver good earnings, better earnings, every quarter, quarter after quarter, the analysts, the investors want better and better numbers. And the pressure is tremendous. And you begin to believe that you've got to deliver good numbers or else.
And do you think it was just the external pressures, or was there also some internal dynamics that contributed to it?
My boss, a fellow named Richard Screechy, who was the CEO, very much wanted to become a billionaire. He was approaching that, and he had given himself lots of stock options, and he was a very domineering kind of person, and he, when we tried to report disappointing earnings, he wouldn't accept it. He said, no, you need to do something to the numbers. We're not going to report disappointing earnings. So there was personal pressure there from a very strong-willed individual. When you look back now,
and you think about sort of the beginning of going down the slippery slope of making the mistakes that contributed to this situation, is there a moment in time that stands out in your memory as the beginning of that?
You know, a lot of people ask that question, and really now that I can reflect back on it, it really started my first day working for the man. He included me in a lie within 10 minutes of me being on the job. And I didn't have the good sense at the time to say, don't do that. Don't include me in a lie. I just sort of thought, well, he's trying to make me look good. He said some nice things about me that weren't true. And I thought, well, he's just a nice guy trying to make me look good. And he was a master at manipulating people. And for years, he had conditioned me to that day when it came and we had to cook the books. He always opened up to his board of directors, to all of his employees. When he wanted something done, he would say, don't you think it would be a good idea if we? He would tell his board of directors, don't you guys think it would be good if we bought another corporate jet? And once he laid it out like that, you were conditioned, you knew what to say. You say yes. Because if you said no, it's a bad idea, he literally would beat you up. He conditioned people to get the responses he wanted, and he was a master at doing it.
And it sounds like, and including you then in the unfortunate decision as part of that
exactly
as well.
Exactly.
So a lot of corporate scandals seem to originate in the CFO's office. Why do you think that is?
You know, and a lot of it goes back to the personality of people that are accountants that go into the finance. Most corporate frauds are started by the CEO, not the CFO. But the CFO typically participates because of what I was talking about. He's bullied by the CEO. He wants to, his way to please people is to make the numbers look good. And he learns in his career that if he can do some accounting magic or creative accounting that helps the company, he gets pay raises, he gets stock options, what have you. And over time, you can become a little too creative and commit fraud, and the temptation is there.
We have a model on our website that talks about the practice of ethical leadership, the kinds of things that people in executive positions, any formal leadership position really, can do to try and promote good ethical behavior. It talks both about the character of the person involved and then the decisions, the actions that they take. When you think about this story, how important was the character of the CEO and the other leaders of the company, and what were the kinds of things that either could have been done or should have been done to encourage, a better, a healthier corporate culture?
I think we were an extreme case. I think over time, Richard created a cult type environment. He wanted things to be his way, with nobody being inclusive in anything. And he created, and when you look at cults, particularly really dangerous cults, like the one where the guy got everybody to drink Kool-Aid and die, you wonder, how could this happen? How do cults really happen? And I really think there was a part of that at HealthSouth. There was not open discussion about what is the right thing to do and that kind of thing. It was all about doing what you had to do to make the financial numbers, and nobody had the courage to stand up and say, no, this is not the right thing to do.
So one hallmark of ethical deliberation processes is that, sort of that participation, and that people that are going to be affected by the decisions are part of that discussion. And
exactly.
But it doesn't sound like that, actually.
No, it didn't. But you need constant reminders to be ethical. It shows that in universities, when a student signs a code of ethics when they enter the school that they will not cheat, it's good for about 2 weeks. The most effective way is every time they submit a paper or they take a test, at the top of that paper and at the top of that test, they say, I am not going to cheat on this test. I've done this without cheating. Those constant reminders, it becomes part of the culture, and you have a lot better success rate of people actually being ethical.
What were some of the systemic conditions that contributed to this? Sort of outside the company, in the industry at the time, or just in general in the economy?
It was one of the times when the stock market was really raging. Investment bankers wanted to do deals, more and more deals. They brought us acquisitions that were sketchy sometimes, but the stock market was doing so good that we could pull the deals off, so that was part of it. Also, in healthcare, there's been a lot of scandals and unethical behavior in healthcare companies, and it goes back to the mystery of healthcare accounting. It's very complicated. There's always been a lot of temptation for the accountants to change the numbers for reimbursement reasons, to bill Medicare inappropriately. So I think there was a bit of a culture throughout for-profit healthcare to be a little edgy with your accounting.
So that sounds like something that any business venture that's built around kind of that third-party agency issue, that sort of someone else is paying, but the customer who's receiving the services or the products is different from that decision maker. Those are sort of extra care to take there. You actually talked about the definition of success, and how do you feel that's changed?
Well, early on, 1806, Webster's in its dictionary, he defines success as being generous, prosperous, healthy, and kind. Those are the key words. One of them is prosperous. today, that definition, if you look in the dictionary, it'll be success is attainment of fame, power, and rank. Wealth, fame, power, and rank. So that's not the true measure of success. There are a lot of other things that are important other than just being powerful and rich.
Well, we're an applied ethics center, and I think it's really helpful for our campus community to hear real-life examples of ethical dilemmas. It's been great to have you.
Okay, thank you very
much.
much.